Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. Not all science fiction aims for philosophical depth. Some embrace their B-movie DNA and run wild with it. Forbidden World is one of those movies. Released in 1982 and pronounced by Roger Corman's New World Pictures, it's an unapologetically pulpy sci-fi horror flick that's part alien, part The Thing, and all low-budget charm. Now, what it lacks is polish. It makes up for its in-energy atmosphere and just enough creative madness to stay memorable for cult film lovers. At the center of the film is Mike Colby, played by Jesse Vint, a no-nonsense intergalactic troubleshooter sent to the remote research outpost Zabia. Colby isn't your typical deep character study. He's cool under pressure, capable in combat, and functions mostly as the audience's gateway into this strange, doomed facility. Vint plays the role straight, grounding the absurdity around him with an earnestness that somehow works. The real tension, however, comes from the mutilated creature birthed from the team's genetic experiments, codenamed Subject 20. It starts off as a lab curiosity but rapidly evolves into a monstrous entity, feeding on human DNA and becoming more unpredictable and grotesque by the minute. The film wastes no time getting into the creature's feature territory, and that's the part of its charm. There's a sense of urgency, of spiraling chaos as the scientists scramble to regain control. Dawn Dunlap and June Chadwick plays the main female leads, and while their characters are thinly written, as is often in the case in the early 80s exploitation fare, both actresses lean into tension and keep the pace moving. There's a clinical coldness in Chadwick's scientist character, while Dunlap brings a note of vulnerability and desperation. Now, these aren't layered arcs, but in a story this frantic, they add enough to make the body count feel meaningful. Director Alan Holzman brings his experience as an editor to the table, keeping the pacing tight and scene propulsive. The editing was done in just 3 weeks, and that shows, not in a sloppy way, but in a relentless kinetic energy that keeps the film moving. Holzman knows exactly what kind of movie he's making. He doesn't overreach, and he makes creative uses of existing sets and resources. Much of production design reuses elements from Galaxy of Terror, another common production. The cinematography uses shadow and color gels to hide budget limitations and enhance the mood. Red emergency lights, dark corridors, and smoke-filled rooms all add to the claustrophobic, sweaty atmosphere. The art direction leans into the industrial grim of the outpost, with mechanical corridors and flickering lights creating a constant sense of unease. Now, it's not beautiful in a traditional sense, but it's visually loud and textured, which suits the tone perfectly. The music by Suzanne Justin deserves a special mention. Her synthesized heavy score is eerie and pulsing, layering the film with an otherworldly soundscape that fits right into the era of early electronic horror soundtracks. It brings to mind the work of John Carpenter or The Terminator, raw, moody, and entirely of its time. Without this score, the film would feel much flatter. With it, the film punches above its weight. Forbidden World was made for under 1 million and grossed just over 4 million. Not a blockbuster, but a modest success for its scale. It was never meant to dominate the box office, but it was meant to thrive in grindhouse and late-night TV slots. And in that space, it carved out a niche. The most common critique at the time was its derivative nature. It borrows heavily from Ridley Scott's Alien, down to the bioorganic creature and the isolated space setting. You would note this at the slip covers. But over time, many genre fans have come to appreciate it not in spite of that, but because of how gleefully it embraces the formula. Today, it stands as a testament to what B-movie filmmaking could achieve with the right mix of ambition, resourcefulness, and a little madness. The film doesn't try to justify itself as high art. It knows exactly what it is: fast, loud, gooey sci-fi horror with a side of synth. And that's why it still holds appeal. Scream Factory's Bluray and later the 4K releases of Forbidden World offers fans a surprisingly polished presentation. As for me, I only have the Blu-ray from Scream Factory, which holds a special place in the hearts of the collectors, particularly due to its inclusion of a collectible booklet, a feature that adds depth to the context of the viewing experience. This edition not only presented the film with the new anamorphic widescreen transfers, from the introspective film elements, but also offers both the theatrical and unrated director's cuts. The accompanying booklet provides an insightful essay, behind-the-scenes details, and a production notes, enriching fans' understanding of this cult classic. In conclusion, Forbidden World isn't a hidden masterpiece, but it doesn't try to be. What it does offer is a fast-paced, synthesized, scored, and slime-drenched experience that is still entertains, especially when viewed through the lens of its scrappy origins. It is a cult gem that embraces its flaws and somehow makes them part of the fun. If you're building a collection of sci-fi horror oddities, now that represent bold creativity or on an shoestring budget, now this one deserves a place on your shelf. Now this movie is a must-watch.